Okay, welcome to another edition of Real Estate Investor Talk. I'm sitting here in Claremont in Cape Town, and sitting with me is Jonathan Broll. And Jonathan Broll is the non-executive chairman of the Broll Property Group and also the founder of the Broll Property Group. They are certainly one of the biggest independent property companies in South Africa, but started off from very humble beginnings. And Jonathan has got a wonderful inspirational story of how he started the company from really small and has built it up into a massive company which is expanding rapidly throughout Africa. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Jonathan. So Jonathan, thank you very much for coming onto the show. And just tell us a little bit about where it all started with Broll.
In 1974, I was working for a large construction group, and I was looking after their private portfolio of properties. And I think as the aftermath of the oil crisis in 1973, they actually went bust. And I was at the end of 74, I was married, I had one child, and I didn't have a job, I was unemployed. So I decided, what did I know? I knew about property management, because that's what I was doing. So I started my own property management company. It was difficult in the beginning because I was totally unknown, and there were established players who were fierce competitors, who had clients they had long relationships with. So I could only get the work that nobody else wanted, and that was collecting rent in pretty down market areas where the others wouldn't go during the day, but I used to go at night and knock on the doors and collect that rent. And that was really the start of the company. I think the key to success was that we tried to maximize the return on our clients' properties. We looked after their interests as if those properties were owned by me, myself. And gradually, every month that went by, we were a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, a little bit more money in the bank. And I think after a couple of years, suddenly the competitors saw that I was there. I don't think they were aware of my existence before then. I think today we have grown into possibly the largest property services group in Africa, if not in South Africa. We employ approximately 1,200 people, and we operate in 16 countries across the continent. Our range of services have grown as well, and not only do they include property management, but now also include facilities management, broking and leasing, valuations and advisory work, and also corporate real estate services, where we actually represent not a landlord, but you represent the tenant. And they tend to be the big, large multinational companies of the world. And we can service their property needs across the whole of Africa. Being Pan-African was our strategy, and we are on the way to achieving it. We opened recently this year, we've opened in Rwanda, and we've bought a company in Mauritius. The Mauritian company will service Reunion, Madagascar, Seychelles, as well as other French-speaking countries in Africa. We've opened this year in Rwanda, and I intend to open in the next 3 months in both Zimbabwe and Kenya. I think offices there will, having offices there will help look after our clients, especially the multinationals which are expanding there.
Tell us a little bit about how you moved from residential, which you actually started, into commercial, because now those are all commercial operations, am I right?
I started off in residential because that was really the only work that I could get originally. Okay. But I always preferred the commercial, industrial and retail property side of the business. I felt that skills, you could add more value. You required greater skills in the commercial property side than in residential. And today 98% of our business is commercial, industrial or retail. We do very little residential. It's almost only as a favor to certain special clients who also have a residential arm to their portfolios.
So you've also expanded into the investment side with Catalyst as well. Tell us a little bit how that came about.
We established Catalyst. Broll Property Group doesn't own any property. We are there as a service provider, and for Broll to own properties might be a conflict with our clients. But Catalyst was established about 14 years ago, and Catalyst is involved in property development as well as property ownership. It also has a fund management business that invests in the listed property sector. The common thread, though, between Broll and Catalyst is bricks and mortar. Whatever we do has a property angle to it, and we bring our experience and expertise to bear on that. Catalyst today has its own private portfolio of properties which it owns for investment purposes. We do property developments. Catalyst Fund Managers is a specialist fund manager that only invests in the listed property sector, both locally and overseas, and today is considered one of the leaders in its field.
Do you want to expand a little bit about to investors, because you are talking to investors out there, about some advice, some tips from Jonathan Broll from both the Catalyst perspective and from Broll's perspective in terms of investment in specific? Do you want to give us some? Because I mean, the market is, over the last 5 years, we've been through quite a lot of turmoil with this whole financial crisis. Is there lessons to be learned from that, or is there something that you could share maybe that through your many years of experience in property, in investment, that you can maybe share with the readers out there and the listeners?
I think that property has made more people money than any other form of investment. Property, if it bought with knowledge of the market you are buying into, if it's prudently geared, because gearing is the way you make money in property. Property is always in short supply. There are more and more people, but they're not making any more land. With inflation is a property owner's friend. The replacement cost of the properties continually go up. Your rentals tend to rise even in depressed times. And one day the mortgage bond that you repay is in depreciated money. So property is a fine form of investment. If a person cannot buy a property as a whole, they can always buy in the listed property sector, which has outperformed all other sectors on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange over the past 5 years. It has been the most successful sector there. And those in turn, buying units in the listed property sector, you can gear that as well. So you can get the advantage of gearing. The Global Real Estate Fund also has Rand hedge qualities, because it is a dollar-based investment. And the global property market has also performed well in spite of the global financial crisis. They are back at the levels that they were in 2008 and growing and expanding. The listed properties in Singapore and Hong Kong have done exceptionally well. It's no guide to that they will perform well and give the same performance into the future. But the United States property market has also performed very well and caught up. We tend to only buy the larger stocks that have a market capitalization in excess of $1 billion and have liquidity. And we also look at a number of other criteria in the stocks, such as level of gearing, lease profiles, type of properties, location.
Do you want to just, in closing, Jonathan, just share, some of your secrets to your success? Because you attribute a lot of success to the people that you've surrounded yourself with, that you've built in your business. Do you want to maybe just share a little bit about that, about the people? Because you said a lot of people that you've appointed or that you're surrounded with, they've ensured a lot of your success.
You have a choice. You can remain a small business and control it yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or if you decide to expand and grow national and become a multinational, you can only do it with people, and they have to be the right people. And my experience has been that if you give people responsibility and the commensurate authority, you invariably are not disappointed. I've always gone out there and looked for people who I thought could do the job better than I can, and then I can relax. I've always looked for people who are able to make decisions. And if you get 4 out of 5 decisions right, you're actually doing very well. And the 5th one that you may get wrong, we can always fix afterwards. But the only mistake you can make is not to be a decision maker.
Correct. Well, Jonathan, thank you very much for the opportunity. It was wonderful speaking to you. I don't know if there's anything in closing you want to say to the viewers, the readers, the listeners out there, but thank you for the opportunity. I think it's been inspirational, for the company that you built. So thank you very much for that opportunity.
Just in closing, it's very easy to look back with hindsight and say, if I'd only bought this or only bought that property, how much money I could have made. But the same opportunities really do exist today. Wherever you look, you've just got to have the courage to commit yourself to buy them, to make the move. If you are paralyzed through analysis or paralysis through analysis, you won't ever advance. And I think the key is that when you see an opportunity, or if you create an opportunity, you've got to have the courage to actually go there and buy it.
And also, I just want to add, just in addition to that, you mentioned when we had the interview earlier on, was the fact that the system is actually against you. The system that we live in business and everything is against you. So just to take what you just said right now, it's a matter of actually taking that action. Would you kind of agree to?
I think it is.
Yeah.
We only live here on this for a short time,
right.
And every day that goes by is one day less. So you actually have to, within a relatively short period of time, you've got to be able to make decisions. You've got to have courage. You've got to have vision, and I think you've got to be optimistic. There are always good reasons why you shouldn't do something, and your attorneys and accountants and other advisors will always give you good reasons not to buy something. But at the end of the day, you've got to rely on your own judgment and have the courage to make those decisions.
Well, Jonathan, thank you very much. I think there's some sage advice there, some really, really good inspirational stuff. Thank you very much once again for the opportunity of doing this interview. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.